want to talk to you about life as a stutterer, and how I've developed. See, like, the whole reason, but it was a big reason why I was diagnosed with depression many years ago. I mean, I was diagnosed in 2004, but but I had depression from that's maybe 12 or 13, I guess. And and it's like because I began speaking when I was about 2 or 3, but I don't think I was really stuttering till I was maybe maybe 5 or 6, and then I remember the very first speech therapy session I had. It was in kindergarten, and a woman came to see me. Now, I didn't know what she wanted, who she was, but I knew who she was, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. And either I didn't know I was or I was stuttering, and I just didn't think anything was wrong or abnormal, I guess. And yeah, and I do remember that first year of stuttering. It just wasn't a big deal to me. And of course, like I said, it was kindergarten, and unfortunately, as you know, as school continued, I was bullied a lot, teased a lot, and no, of course, at the time, those things definitely, I felt worthless, for lack of a better term. It sounds. But at the same time, it's like in school, I always, for the most part, had support from my teachers, and and from an early age, I was very I was never good at maths or sciences, but I was always very much into reading and writing, and and the writing, that kind of, I guess it gave me an escape, because I mean, more so as I got older, but it was just one of those things where sometimes people thought this, some just so subconscious that I thought it, but that if people heard me stutter, that they thought I wasn't as smart or intelligent, and I've always had the attitude where it's if I'm speaking and I do have a hard time stuttering, they may think, but conversely, if I write a story or something, and give it to them for them to read. It's actually the complete opposite. So it's like, I don't know if anyone has said this, but and even now, years later, uh, uh, like uh, people could say to me, say about me, like, Rob Truckman, it took him, it took him a few minutes to say you, for example. And if they even have like an inkling of, well, smart, they'll just look at my writing and they'll think that in the risk sound arrogant, like that's not the case at all. Yeah, but like I don't know, and I mean, as a kid, teenager, as an adult, I've always done the best I could, and and I mean, I've been told by so many. No one in my family. My family was always very supportive, but the people like at school or something would say like I'm not good enough, or basically like when I was in high school or even preparing for college, and people said that I wouldn't be able to get a good job or any job that involves speaking. And no, and I admit, like, I mean, I know, or I think I know what my limitations are. So, for example, and I'm sure some of you can relate to this. I do not like speaking on the phone at all. So, if I were to get like a sales job or at a call center or like a reception job, well, I prefer not to have those jobs only because there's so much phone work involved. But it's going back on like resource teachers and employment agencies who said that, oh well, you know what, most people can have whatever job they want. You, on the other hand, you can only get a certain percentage of because your speech. And tying back to my, just thoughts of worthlessness and how that my self-esteem and my depression. I mean, I think I've handled it better as I got older, but I remember for years, many years, it was a case of like, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to survive. And I literally thought that because there were times when my person was so bad. I was suicidal. I thought about suicide like a lot. And it's just like, no, and you know what? It's like for years, I always saw I saw him as stuttering for a very long time, like as a curse. And it's just when I was like child and like even a brief, it's just when I was stuttering. I used to get like excited and I mean, there were times like as illogical as it sounds. I was so desperate. I was like, like not far, but I'd like kind of reach in my mouth a little bit and try to like straighten out my tongue. I mean, as I said, it's very rational. But I was like maybe 9 or 10 when I did that. But no. But you know what? Um, uh, and even though I was in small group therapy at times when I was a kid, no, I always felt like being a person who stutters that I was alone. You know what? That really started to change only within the last 5 or 6 years. Because like because like, well, first of all, in 20 I had read about a stuttering walk in Toronto at the Speech and Stuttering Institute. Oh well, that's cool. I never heard of that. You know, so I decided to go and like. I remember that day, like. Yeah, I'm in about 5 or 10 other people, you know, like in, you know, who also stutter, and you know, like, like I think D wasn't, but you're like and I think 2018, the Canadian Stuttering Association, their conference, again in Toronto. No, you know, EBSCO was great, but like, in 2015, I met 5 or 10 people at this stutter. At maybe people who stuttered. You know, and it really began to rapidly change my perspective. Like, I always thought my blessing was curse. I always said, you know, I always backed away from things, opportunities, by just saying, oh well, too bad I stutter, and then that's it. And then it's like, 2018 opened my eyes because not only were these other people I don't know, these people actually had great careers, so it's not like no 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 oh, like you had engineers, comedians, you had like podcasters, cartoonists, you know, you have people who work in the virtual reality. It's like, you know, and it brought me back to all. I never get a good job, or like paraphrasing, but like I'm not good enough, and it just made me think that, well, made me believe rather that well, I guess these people like missed the memo, if you will, on not getting a good job because you know, because all professionally and personally really well. So, I, yeah, to 15, it was that day in 2018, when I really felt, and no, since then, I met so many people, whether it be online, in person, like through Facebook, social media, whatever. And no, and like, I'm not gonna go as far as saying it saved my life, but it was one of those things. Just again, like, it shifted my perspective on things, on life, and it's like, just being part of this like huge community of like all ages who like and from all over the world, who are like me, people who stutter. I mean, just hearing stories from people younger than me, or people like older than me who say like, then I've been like, they'll never get married or fall in love for people who are even just a few years older than me who told me that. I'm in 2016. You see, like, let me explain. I'm a sports writer. I'm a hockey writer. Since early 2010. And so for years, I've been writing like a lot of just personal analysis on players and teams, previews, recaps, and all that. Wonderful. I love, but an ulterior motive to doing just that was like, I like to interview people, but I can't because, again, too bad I stutter. I can't use the phone. So it's like, well, so I just forgot about it for a while. And then in 2016, it was just because they're my favorite hockey team. They're the Los Angeles Kings. And their golden anniversary, their 50-year anniversary. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be great to interview 50 or close to 50 former Kings? And of course, going back to that tired old line of "Too bad I stutter," I decided, you know what? Enough of that. Like, I mean, it's so easy just to like cop out or something like that, and then just sit around, do nothing, and in my case, feel sorry for myself. Because that year, months earlier, I lost my job, and it wasn't a good situation overall, personally, for me. And I was frankly sick of sitting around and doing nothing or making excuses or, again, feeling sorry for myself. So I talked to my brother Adam. And my brother Adam's always been very supportive of me and my stuttering and just anything I do. So he suggested that, well, because we're big movie fans, and and the movie critic, the late Roger Ebert, he had throat cancer towards the end of his life, so he needed a voice synthesizer to speak. And Adam had suggested that why don't I do something like that? And at first I didn't think much of it because, well, I'm sure voice synthesizers are expensive, and I just didn't have the funds. But but it wasn't those things I gave up on. It was just something where it's like, okay, you know what? It's 2016. Their technology. There's got to be something that can help me with phone interviews. So so I had a record laptop, and I said to myself, well, you know what? Whenever I knew someone on the other line, I would speak fluently. As soon as I heard that dial tone, and it wouldn't be, and I wouldn't be able to barely get a sound out, much as a word. So, so I had that in mind, and then another movie, the Colin Firth movie, The King's Speech. I had remembered the scene in the movie. I'm not giving away any scene, but like, so basically, passes from a Colin Firth speaks fluently in the reading, which was a big deal because that was the first time in the movie that he speaks fluently. And I remember that thinking, well, maybe if I write down my questions, and then as I'm recording them, turn on something, like classical, and then do that. And I mean, it took me a few tries, but I eventually did that. And so what I did, I started emailing all these former players and I created an email template, who I am, what I'm looking for, and of course I gave them a forewarning about my stuttering, and how the phone's difficult for me. And I even said, while I do email interviews, I'd actually prefer to do phone interviews. And all of them were very understanding. There's maybe one or two of those interviews that had some hiccups, but for the most part, I got through it. And I thought I did really well. And when I started that, I remember thinking, this is going to be so hard, but you know what? I actually wanted to do this because it is so hard, because if I accomplish it, or rather when I accomplish it, I want to, I want to be able to kind of like, I want to be able just to feel really good about this, and I want to be able to talk like this, like I am now, for years to come. So it was really like, it just, sorry, give me a sec. No, it just made me feel really good, really accomplished, and especially with my stuttering, it's like probably the first time in a long time, I felt like really accomplished and doing something like that. And of the King's Speech, and going back to, it's like, I remember when that came, I was just so excited to see it because only because there was never really a movie about stuttering or a person who stutters. I mean, maybe there was, but I never heard of it. And as much as I love seeing movies, I think I saw that movie in theaters about 4 or 5 times, and like, yeah. So when that movie came out, I was like, oh, I'm really not alone. But you know what? It's like, since 2016 when I started doing those former Kings, and 2018, when I really met the so many of the Stuttering community, and since then, I don't know. It has really changed it for me because I remember, like I remember around then, I hadn't had a smartphone yet, and I was looking in. Just went in the store and and one question, the girl I was talking to, I'm looking at her colleague, and I just remember thinking like, it's myself, but like, why me? Why my Stutter? Because like, I mean, disability comes in. Like they wouldn't laugh at them, or at least I don't think they would. So why me? And and I even remember like, remember in 2016 again, I was like, I was at an employment agency, and this was an employment agency for people with disabilities. Where I sat down, there were 3 of them. Before we started, I just said, by the way, just letting you know I stutter, so just please keep that in mind. Because the time when I explained that I stutter, I could see how it would throw off. So anyway, they just asked, tell us about yourself. So I turned on that, and I just said, they kind of looked amused and just asked if I was okay, and I was like, well, yeah, Stutter, I just told you that. And it's just like, one of the women asked me a question, and I was trying to answer, and before we got through the answer, she asked me another question, and like, got the thought from my dad. He got angry, very calm, very professional all the time, and I just always thought it'd be better to be diplomatic, and just like, be cool, be professional. Part of me that wanted to say, okay, you know what, screw all of you, I'm done. And it's just like, back to the situation like in the phone store, I felt like saying, I mean, I didn't want to call, like saying, well, you know, this was incredibly disability. Anyone else with a disability came in, almost be certain to be no laugh, no kind of mouth, no anything. At really hurt that day, but you know what? As opposed to like years ago, when I was feeling worthless, just one of those things. And I just kind of use it like it's motivation. It's like, okay, well, these people off because I'm, I'll go and prove to myself. Prove it. And years later, I remember as sportswriter, same with depression and going to store and like seeing ignorant adults like act the way they do. It was, I don't know if she likes me name dropping, but it was Lisa Wilder of the CSA who, hey, you know what? You're, you should apply for our workshop and see. So I had never thought. And yeah. Oh yes. Thank you, Lisa. And I just remember like working like on my speech and all that, and it just like and I mean, like I remember my boss at work was like, she's a TED speaker, and she said, hey, hey, we can carve out some time and I can help you with this. I was like, oh, are you kidding? That'd be great. Like, and that was that. And I remember just speech and just feeling so good. And then the day, and it was just I thought I did so well. I did do so well. And I remember till next weekend or whenever. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, COVID happened a few months. I say I spoke easy. So, I'm spoken in colleges. Like actually in January, I thought I'd start reaching out to just and talking about my journey as an author. And comes across US and Canada as I could think of. Yeah, so like last few months, University of Pittsburgh, the University of the Pacific, and the California, and there are a few others. I just I just they're not coming to me right now. I go back to I was like for most of my life, and how I saw stuttering as a curse. And no, 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 and you don't want with that, but but you know, and I like as hard as those times were. All the right who's and the full is a former NHL goaltender who I reached out to him on Twitter like last year. No, a radio show host called him out publicly, you know, saying that, hey, what was that? Like being rude because he was such and you know, and just thinking that right back, he wrote back, and we had a great back and forth, and just, you know, became friends. So I thought that was really cool, and I'm actually coming out with my second book next month of interviews with former and current players for the LA Kings, and actually writing it with Bob Miller, who's in the Hall of Fame. He was the Kings broadcaster for 45 years before he retired. So I'm really excited about that. And I was on a few podcasts too. That'll continue. Next week I'm speaking at I'm speaking at an inclusion seminar. So like I'm going to talk about my passive journey as a person who stutters. It was negative for I'm lucky to work at a place where no one cares that I stutter, and they always offer alternative methods of communication. So between that and the writing and the speaking, I am very happy with the way things are going. You know what? As a kid, I said, you know, if I could be happy at 25, that'd be great. I mean, I'm 39 now, but you know, that's okay with me. Age is a number. I could be here. Very happy that I'm doing that. So, yeah. So with that said, I just want like. I just wanted to bob my heart. Thank you all for listening today.